So joining me to get further into this is a board-certified pathologist, Dr. Bill Lloyd. He has performed over 500 autopsies. Dr. Lloyd, thanks for joining us today. Based on your experience, can you lay out for me, just let's forget that this is not a court of law. This is viewers and TV trying to make sense of this. Just paint the scene for me. Who was she? Sure. What kind of condition was she in? What did she do to this guy? What was the sequence?
Every autopsy tells a story, including a murder autopsy, and I call this story reverse psycho. Oh yeah, there was mayhem in the bathroom, but this time the pretty woman was outside the shower, and she was the one that was wielding the knife. Now, we have to understand the sequence of these injuries because they tell the story as to where the body was and how it ended up back in the shower. So this gentleman, Travis, took a couple of stabs, perhaps to the back first, turning around and protecting himself, a defensive posture which led to cuts on his...
They're the hand injuries we're looking at right now. Good. He's trying to defend himself. Pow, she attacks him.
So gross.
There's two of them. There's the active defensive posture. That's the cut that's right down in the webbing there.
Right there.
Okay, he's actively defending himself. And then on the back of the hand, as he covers his face, the knife cuts the back of his hand. Go back to that one, if you would, to see that. And those are called passive defensive injuries.
Got it.
So he's had a couple of injuries now, hands on his back, and then comes the big lunge into his chest. Now, Drew, you're a doctor. You know, the human body, about 5 quarts of blood. And when you get near the major vessel, like the vena cava, up in the middle of the chest, your blood circulates through there 6 times per minute. 6 times 5, 30. That means he starts bleeding at a horrendous rate of 30 gallons a minute. He doesn't last a minute.
Doesn't last
but there's an enormous amount of blood. So now he's leaving the shower.
Have you seen the neck footage? I wanted to show it tonight. I thought it was important. I really did. But the network would not. It's not gross. It is gross, but it's not gross. But our job is to examine what happened here. When you see it, she cut him right up along the neckline, all the way across, down to his spine. It was uncanny. Did you see those pictures, Dr. Lloyd?
I did, and it's a very clumsy mafioso attempt to slit this gentleman's throat. But you bring up the very important point, layer upon layer. What kind of person? I'll ask you. You are America's expert on misbehavior. What kind of person is it that stabs somebody in the chest, then slits their throat, and then later shoots them in the head? You mentioned dissociative behavior. What about borderline personality in that connection?
I agree with you. I think this is sort of, again, I don't want to cast aspersions on people with borderline. It's a common condition. Doesn't mean they're going to be murderers. But as you get into the severe...
But all of those things, isn't that enough to just make her go...
Yes, it is those things that could. That's what Dr. Lloyd was asking. What are the circumstances where somebody could be out of their head quite literally? And these are the kinds of conditions where that can happen. What Dr. Lloyd is referring to is borderline rage. Is that not what you meant?
You know, she had planned this, Drew. She had planned this. This had been all laid out. This was no snap decision. She'd been stalking this guy for a very long time.
Well, and that's that rage that's unremitting and just consuming. It's very different than some of these other sorts of crimes we've been talking about. Hey, Dr. Lloyd, before I let you go, I want you to hold up that knife again for me and tell me this. Is this likely to be the kind of weapon that she used?
In order to reach the vena cava, this thing's going to have to be more than 4 or 5 inches in depth. And again, remember, with that cut on the hand, it's clear that Travis was trying to actively stop the knife. He didn't do a good enough job.
Please be careful. You're making me feel the willies here. All right, thank you, Mark Eiglarsh and Dr. Lloyd. We will be talking much more about this case in the days to come, so please keep watching.